Hi there, this is Pierre from Orleans. Pierre Dorian from the Ottawa Senators. I have a trade proposal I'd like to offer.
Pierre, my man, how's it going? It's good to talk to you again.
Yeah, so I got this sniper. Um, yeah, he's a great goal scorer. Um, you're gonna love him.
All right,
He's actually kind of a father figure on the team, if you know what I mean.
okay, interesting. I mean, I don't know if we need a sniper right now. I think we're doing okay in terms of our
Who
roster.
doesn't need a sniper?
Is he like that Stone fella? I really like that Stone fella you gave me.
Stone. I don't recall that. Was he one of the assets we've traded you in the past?
Yeah, we sent Eric your way, and I hear that it
Oh,
was a
yes.
yeah.
Eric Brandstrom, I remember when we traded him, when we got him, all the players on the team were lined up to kiss me.
Yeah, I remember when we did that trade call. You were talking about how it was the best day of your life, and you were really happy about that one. And yeah, to be honest, I didn't think you were gonna call me again because that of how well that trade went for us. But anyway, who you want to trade for us this time?
So his name is Evgeny Dadanov. He
Okay,
doesn't have a no trade list.
sorry, what was that?
His name is Evgeny Dadanov.
Yeah, and I think you said something else there.
No, I didn't say anything. He doesn't have a no trade list.
Oh, okay, we're pretty tight against the cap. So any player that we take on right now, we want to have some flexibility. You know, if we want to move him out or make some
Oh yeah,
shufflings.
definitely. You can move him out. He doesn't have a no trade list.
All right, all right. So we got one Evgeny Dadanov coming our way, and then headed your way, Pierre. We got a Nick Holden and a 2022 third round pick. Is there anything else I should know?
No, that is absolutely 100% everything. You could take my word at the truth.
Welcome everybody to the Comic Sense podcast. I'm your host Jeff Lamarca, and with me again, my co-host Brett Chartrand. Brett, we've been on a bit of a hiatus. We haven't quit on the team, but I've been
Not yet.
out day to day due to illness. But finally ready to come back. How you been, man?
Well, you sound good. I was expecting when you said you were sick when I came on that you have no voice or you're all congested and stuff, but you sound great. So
I mean,
glad to
it
see
was
you.
a stretch of a few days without my voice. We have one kid in daycare, and I remember whenever I tell people our kids are going to daycare when he was first headed to daycare, everyone else with parents said like, "Oh, get ready to be sick every single day for the rest of your life." I was like, "Okay, they're being a little extreme, but no, it's absolutely the truth. You're sick all the time, and it's
Just like
disgusting."
a little petri dish of germs, I guess, eh?
Yeah, cesspool of illness. But we're feeling much better now. The family is relatively healthy, and I'm back
Nice.
and
I'm glad.
ready to do some podcasting. So
Some of the important stuff in life, do a podcast about a really great NHL hockey team.
yeah, I mean the good news is we didn't miss a whole lot while I was out. I don't think much has happened in the last week or so.
Nah,
But
low key week.
yeah, you want to jump right into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
So the last time we chatted, it was the day of the Shane Pinto announcement. That was hot off the presses. I think we did a pretty decent job of covering all that as it came out. But since then, another bombshell.
Yeah.
The Ottawa Senators have been docked a first round draft pick, one that they have 3 years to choose when they'll be losing it of the next 3 years. This is because our boy, Pierre Dorian, forgot to include very relevant piece of information in an Evgeny Dadanov trade to Las Vegas. So I'm going to do a little bit of a recap of what happened just in case the folks at home don't know. So in July of 2021, the Sens sent Dadanov to the Las Vegas Golden Knights for Nick Holden and a 2022 third round draft pick. At that time, Dadanov had a no trade list, so this means he could set up a list of teams that he absolutely cannot get traded to. But apparently, Dorian did not reveal that information to the Las Vegas Golden Knights, and the trade went through. Now, a year later, Vegas tried to trade Dadanov to Anaheim, and this trade got blocked because, as they found out, Dadanov had a trade list, and Anaheim was on that trade list, so he could not get traded to that team. So Anaheim was fuming, Vegas was fuming, and they were pointing their fingers at Dorian, saying, "This guy didn't give us all the details when we made that trade." Now it's 2023, and all of a sudden, pretty big deal that the Sens are going to be missing one of their first round draft picks. So it took a while. Bettman had this cooking for a while, it seems, but really laying the hammer down on the Ottawa Senators. So what was your reaction to this?
I kind of forgot about it. I would have assumed. I remember when it was first kind of spoken about, pointing the fingers, and it was like seemed like a pretty big blunder on Pierre's side of the things, and it was like, just chalk it up to another Sens piece of negative news that we were all accustomed to as fans. But then it kind of just went away. So I assumed, and then Vegas won the Stanley Cup, so I just kind of assumed that sort of thing could erase like those past like mistakes or trades or whatever. So yeah, I just kind of forgot about it for a bit, and then slowly some rumors were coming up just from like Twitter and Sens fans rumors, and then Friedman brought it up, and then it kind of happened pretty quick around just a time of just bad news going around the Sens. So I think the timing of it was pretty horrible, all things considered. And without knowing too much about what happened, I guess it was just that it slipped Dorian's mind, or like he made a mistake. I just would have assumed in that sort of thing where like you have players' agents, you probably have like assistant GM or like some admin people that are probably on hand in the call, like to make sure those things are getting filed with the league, or the league probably has people to like follow up with that. Like I don't know what the protocol is,
So
the process and stuff. So I just assume that it would be really hard, and I've never heard of this happening before, so I don't know.
the word on the street is that Vegas asked Dorian if Dadanov had a no trade list, and Dorian said, yes, he does, but he did not submit it in time, so it doesn't exist because of that. Because there is a deadline when you do have to submit a list,
Right?
But very much so, that list was submitted in time. So it's one of two things. Dorian knew the list was submitted in time and lied to San Jose, or Dorian assumed that the list was not submitted, even though it actually was. And there was some miscommunication along the lines that Dorian didn't get the memo that the list was submitted, so he passed on that information. In any case, I really want to make it clear that it was pretty significant that this trade got blocked between Vegas and Anaheim. Essentially, Anaheim was going to get a second round pick, also part of this trade, and they never got that asset, right?
Right.
Vegas trying to offload Dadanov, they were likely trying to make other moves. They ended up missing the playoffs that year, so they only won the cup a couple of years later, or the next year. So I mean that very much had ramifications. This trade not going through. So
and if you think of like the money that you make when you make the playoffs, all the profit in the playoff games, like that is significant. I suppose you could like put like actual money.
Absolutely. So
like what you lost there.
I hate to say it, like this was gross negligence on behalf of the Senators, and I fully agree with the penalty. Like it has to happen. You can't screw up like this. And it's a fireable offense. Like any GM that does this, like they're done. I would be surprised if Dorian got any job offers in the near future for a blunder like this. It really made him look bad.
I have a little bit of defense on his part. I just think like it was basically he was a one-man operation, like it was just him, and like he was clear about that when Staios came on board. When in the press conference, the first thing he said, he's like been begging for more help, which like it was basically him doing probably everything, like making all the calls. Like the front office was thin, so like I bet you it was just that. Like I like just picture like when you're in the past or like in any job you've had where it's like maybe it's like a team that you were supposed to have and then people didn't show up, or like a group project and you're the only one doing all the work, and then you're like you submit your work and then you're docked a few points based on things that you're like, oh fuck, if I had more help I would have wouldn't have forgot these things or something. So that's the only defense I could have.
Yeah.
I don't know like
eh,
how much that's true. Like
you're not paid millions of dollars to have excuses like that in my mind. Like to me, it's like whatever.
Like
He made a mistake. Maybe the no trade list ended up in his junk folder, and he only looked at his junk folder a few days later, and then oh shit, I can't say anything now. I gotta hide it. But it makes the Sens look awful. I don't have a problem with the NHL's penalty, but the one thing I do, because there's a lot of people saying that like, oh, it was so harsh, whatever. The one thing that I would criticize the NHL for is that they're not consistent with their penalties.
Right.
I think this was plenty.
Sure.
It was fine. It needed to be a harsh penalty. That's fine. There have been other penalties in the past, like looking at the Chicago Kyle Beach situation, and I won't give that whole rundown, but if you're curious, look it up, where that team was not fined nearly significantly enough. I think there needs to be a lot more consistency.
They were rewarded.
They were rewarded in some sense. Like, yeah, find the Sens a pick. That's fair. I did see one comment, and I do agree with it, that like finding the team a pick penalizes the fans more than the organization. I mean, it does both, right? Which is the unfortunate bit. Maybe there's another way to do a penalty, because it does suck as a fan knowing that a draft in the future, we're not going to have a first round pick and we can't use that as an asset. But I mean, you can't make mistakes like this. It's brutal, but
now, does the first round pick go to Vegas, or
it goes into thin air? So basically, my understanding is when the draft happens, it'll go to Ottawa's position in that draft, and it'll basically say Ottawa doesn't pick anyone, and then it'll go to the next player after that. So it's not like there's only 31 players selected in that round. Well, I guess there is only 31 players, but it's as if Ottawa had said, "No, we're not picking anyone."
We didn't like anyone this round.
Exactly. Yeah, we're choosing to skip it. I mean, the best thing Ottawa can do is they have 2 years to finish as high as possible and lose a 32nd overall pick. And
I guess that's like the best strategy is to like punt it to next year or the year.
Oh,
after.
They're punting it to year 3. You always punt it to year 3. You never want to take it early. You always just push it, kick it down the road. So with that, Dorian is out. So what are your thoughts? No more GM.
Yeah, I think we both saw it coming. I think fans kind of saw it coming, regardless of this blunder happening. You could speculate that it was planned ahead of time, just when the new ownership came in, and maybe they didn't have enough time to like look for somebody new, or didn't want to like clean house right away and like make that many waves like right at the beginning of the season, or like you could speculate that. But I saw it coming, and this is it was bound to happen, and it's gonna be weird to look back on in a few years to like see what his legacy is. I guess it depends on how the Sens do in the next few years with the core that he's set up,
Yeah, I think we've talked about Dorian in previous shows, and I think our reaction is a bit of a shared. He takes big swings and he has a lot of hits, but he has a lot of misses. He has a lot of misses, but you can't argue with the fact that like he signed up Brady, Sanderson, Stützle, Norris, Batherson, even Shabbat, like all these young players to really long, cost-effective contracts. He's made some great trades, like the Chychrun trade. Seems to be. I mean, the Sens are struggling, but Chychrun is a beauty.
Yeah.
He wasn't entirely successful, but I think he's really laid a great foundation. Like you said, I think this firing needed to happen because of the recent mistake, and Andlauer alluded to the fact that the cap issues was another thing that the ownership was frustrated with.
Yeah, he said like the final straw. He said.
Exactly. So I fully believe that Andlauer was willing to give Dorian the year at least, and this just called it early, and he had to do it, and I don't fault him for that. And I'm not that upset that Dorian's out. I think the team needed a new fresh face or fresh faces in here from the management point of view. And I'm really excited to see who comes in as GM, and looking forward to a fresh set of eyes on the team, and see what they can do.
Yeah, and I'm the same. I'm kind of. I feel like it just got stale, to be honest. Like, just he was there for so long, and like, yeah, as fans, we saw how differently the team was handled post Brian Murray. Yeah, I guess, Brian Murray was kind of known as like a good mediator between Melnyk and the team, and he could handle Melnyk a little better, and he had like the respect of the whole league because he's been around for so long. And then in a perfect world, it was like Pierre Dorion was his like assistant GM kind of thing. It was like learning from him so that when Brian retired, that Pierre would take over and it'd be like a seamless transition. And I think that could have been true, but I feel like the way he dealt with Melnyk and the media, and he was put through the ringer, and he put Sens fans through the ringer, man. Like, so many ups and downs with him, and just so much drama that he had to go through and like be the face of the team when they were going through so much drama. And like, you got to hand it to him. At least he did his best in some pretty tumultuous times. Like, just, you don't have to name them all, but just like things that you never want to deal with as like a GM of the team, like the Uber video stuff, like things that like it's just not normal, like that he had to deal with.
And I feel for the guy.
Deal with them that well.
I feel for the guy because, like, he had such a long career with the Sens, and now he's going out so sad with like such a shitty blunder that looks so awful. It sucks to go out like that when you put your heart and soul into a team. But he made a big mistake. It was $1 million, multi-million-dollar mistake. Like, you can't do that.
That's fair. I think for him, at least, like, he's not with the team anymore, but there's like things going around right now. He has like his fingerprints are on this team. So if the Sens do have some success in the next few years, I think he could at least like feel good about it. I know he's not with the team. He won't be on the Stanley. If they win the cup, his name won't be on the Stanley Cup, but I think he personally, in his heart could, at least feel good that he did that stuff.
Yeah. Well, I love the fact that we're going to have fresh set of eyes on this. And we talked about this before. The team is going to have some tough decisions to make. And I don't know if Dorian could have made them. Like, if you look at the Kubalik thing, Kubalik is potentially on the trade block to make room for Pinto when Pinto is available to get signed. Would Dorian be able to make that move, or would his ego get in the way because Kubalik was part of the DeBrincat trade? I don't know. But now, like, no one has their heart tied to Kubalik. Right. He's, he could get traded. So I like the idea that someone's coming in. They have no ties to anyone in the organization. They can make some of these trades. Like Tyler Boucher, another player that, like,
right.
There was some talk that he could have been trade bait at one point, but he was one of those things that Dorian had some ego for.
Kind of thing.
Exactly, but we don't have that anymore, and I think that's great. Is you need someone to come in and just go with the best possible choices available and make some of those tough decisions. Last thing on Dorian, I think, before we move on, and I'm sure we'll talk about him later, but one thing that I found interesting is, and maybe he's waiting for things to settle a little bit, but haven't heard from him. He didn't put out any sort of press release, quote, nothing, not a sentence, not a word.
He's having a nap.
I hate to say it, but I feel like the fan base feels like they're owed an apology, and I don't blame them. I think we kind of do need an apology for this recent fuck up of the draft pick, and he's been silent on it. So,
especially since they they framed it as him resigning, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
since
If
it was like
you
he
didn't get fired,
resigned, yeah, he could have like sent out that statement through the Senators, like that I'll be resigning because of this blunder. Yeah, something like that. Like if you're gonna go the route of resigning, even though it was like that was just like probably in like, you know,
a very
Andlauer
polite way of firing someone.
yeah, offering him that route because
Yeah.
of everything he's done, just like a nice little business thing to do.
Yeah.
And another thing I was gonna say is like a new GM coming in. I think something that the Sens in the past have fallen have done, have been guilty of, is that they kind of do like sentimental moves, or they don't make moves for like sentimental reasons or ego reasons or something. Like, you know, like Brian Murray like signing Chris Neal, or like just things that were kind of like you needed like the cutthroat.
We'll talk about later, but Travis Hamonic, Dorian giving a contract to Travis Hamonic this year.
Because like I always bring it back
Yikes.
to Masai Ujiri of the Toronto Raptors trading DeMar DeRozan for Kawhi Leonard and then winning the championship because of it. And DeMar DeRozan, it was like trading Alfredson, you know?
Right.
It'd be like trading Alfredson for Zetterberg or something,
Yeah.
you know? Like, oh, you know, Alfredson's good, but Zetterberg has the playoff pedigree and he's won a championship and he's a bit younger or something like that. So it was like the Sens have never really had that. And I'm not saying that the next GM won't have that. You don't know that, but I think that's what they need to look at. So I think definitely fresh eyes could do that because they're like, well, I don't know this person. I'm trading them. I don't care. Like,
yeah,
you know,
for sure.
So
unless
we need
it's
the cutthroat attitude.
Unless it's Kachuk, Stutzel, or Sanderson, then I will be, or I'd put Chikrin in there as well. If any of those
there's
players
definitely
get
the
traded,
no,
I would
the
I would cry.
no untouchables. Yeah, for sure. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, but let's say I'm not saying to trade Kachuk. He's the heart and soul. He's the captain. But if it was like Kachuk for a star player, you know, like those are things that you need to think about. I'm not saying we need to trade Kachuk, but you kind of want the cutthroat attitude that, you know, the Sens have lacked for decades, I think.
Yeah, I mean, look at Vegas. Even looking at this whole situation, Vegas is known as being maybe the most cutthroat organization in the league, and they won a Stanley Cup, so they know what it takes. I wanted to backtrack a little bit because we glossed over it, but the Michael Andlauer press conference was a spicy one, and a couple of quotes here I want to pull up from it. The organization should have been made aware. I don't understand why Dadanov took so long. Maybe it was because the club was for sale and they didn't want to disrupt, making sure the seller got the best price possible. So Andlauer basically saying that the Dadanov situation and also not knowing about the Pinto situation for quite some time until it dropped a couple weeks ago. Maybe information withheld during the sale process of the team so that the seller could get the best price possible. I mean, pretty stunning allegations. This looks bad on the Melnick estate and the sellers, and also the NHL for minimizing any sort of investigation or whatever going on. I mean, he makes a good case. Why did the Dadanov investigation take like 2 full years to happen? Seems pretty ridiculous. I think you could come to conclusions faster than that. I'm pretty sure with the Kyle Beach investigation, they came to a conclusion faster than that.
They said the 73-page report was done a while ago.
Look, like, Brett, if I'm going back to university Jeff or high school Jeff, I got to crank out a 72-page report. Give me like 3 hours, I'll crank it out. It doesn't need to take like 2 years. Yeah, I mean, I empathize with him. Like he paid nearly $1 billion and losing a first round draft pick, like that's what, like $5-10 million in value, I would say, for a first round draft pick, probably. Like that's in real world money, like that's a lot. And to be dinged that, like that's, you know, take it off the sale price. So I think he has a valid argument here.
Yeah, and I think besides the money part of it is also just starting him off on the wrong foot. Like he's already got two kind of headline news that has created drama for his team that he just bought. And like it's out of his hands, and you know, it could happen to anybody and to any team at any time. But just the timing of both the things and having to fire the GM and the season kind of already starting off sour, all this stuff, like that must suck to like be so excited. He said it was like he was in the honeymoon phase kind of thing, and then it like got ripped. But that being said, I think he handled it amazingly.
Yeah.
Like he didn't show like any desperation. He didn't show like really even he was like cracking jokes. He was like laughing. He defended Pinto, which I thought was really like an awesome thing to do. Like he didn't throw anyone under the bus except for maybe the NHL.
Yeah,
I think,
he's showing passion, and that's what the fans
Yeah.
want, right? I think this
But
reinforced that he was the best possible owner for the Senators
Yes.
because of the passion that he put on display here.
But Melnick had passion too, right? You can't argue with that. But this is like calculated, you know, like he knows what he's doing, and like he knew not what not to say and what to say at this time. And like I think he just, if anything, if his strategy for this press conference was to like kind of like reverse a little bit of the negative news that the Sens have had, just to be like,
Yeah.
come out and just handle this negative news and make fans excited again, he did it 100%.
Yeah,
sure.
I want to get to another quote here. The other quote, you had mentioned it about Pinto. Quote, you look at a young man who's making millions of dollars and representing the community, but he's 21 years old. Wayne Gretzky goes on MGM and talks about betting. Think about being injured, having time in your hands and a cell phone. So he's talking about Pinto, you know, all he's getting when he's watching hockey. All he sees now is all these betting ads. He's empathizing with him. He's a young kid. He's making poor choices, making mistakes. Like if the previous quote was selling Andlauer to the fan base, I think this really sells him to the players. Like he feels for the players. He's gonna go to bat for his players. I would have loved to hear the backroom conversations with Andlauer when he found out about the Pinto conversation. Like no doubt he went to bat for this kid.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we can look this up, but like, I don't know if he has kids, but like, he just sounded like a dad, you know, like he didn't sound like the owner of a team that had like one of their assets do something bad that needed to be punished. It was like, no, like, you know, this is one of my sons who made a poor mistake that, you know, everyone else in the world does. And he just like kind of had a lapse in judgment because of peer pressure or like, Wayne Gretzky, the best hockey player ever. Man, the balls it takes to mention Wayne Gretzky in any sort of negative light.
And calling out sponsors, like calling out a huge piece of ad revenue for the NHL in these betting apps, but calling that out and saying like, look, this is problematic. And like a lot of people are thinking it, but a lot of people making the money are not saying it out loud. Here's one of the guys who's making the money off of it, and he's saying it out loud. Like, this is a problem. We need to sort of look at this and see how this can cause issues for the younger generations. And he hits the nail on the head. We're not doing enough to talk about things like this. The NHL is putting the blinders on about it. I don't want to minimize the fact that Pinto, you know, made a mistake here. Clearly, it's something he should not have done. But at the same time, there needs to be a little bit more, due diligence on the NHL's part to minimize what they're offering here with these ads for gambling. Because I think it's gross. And I love what he's saying here. I love the fact that he's coming to bat for his players. And spicy, calling out the NHL. I love it.
Yeah, it was really spicy. And he didn't like come off like, desperate or like he didn't know what he was doing, you know? He wasn't like calling out the NHL and then like coming out a couple days later and apologizing like, I didn't mean what I say. Like, no, he was calculated, and you know, the questions were asked and he answered them. He didn't like come right out and say all these things without the questions being asked.
Yeah.
But I think he had it on his mind. But yeah, the other thing I was going to say is that, he kind of like the other thing he said to back up Pinto was like, this is going to help all the other players like from here on out. And like, yeah, you heard about like stories of players like calling their agents and calling the league to see, they had like Zoom calls or something, like a memo out to like remind them like what not to do. So I think there was stories of players being like, whoa, like what happened? What did Pinto do? Like, can I not do this? And like, so he's kind of was the fall guy for probably a problem that was, and happening or bound to happen again. So
Yeah, I mean, I would place a bet on bet99.net that Pinto is not the only one breaking the rules on gambling in the NHL. He was just one of them who got caught.
And wait, maybe like exactly, maybe it was like, this is like kind of tinfoil hat. Maybe he was betting on hockey games. He wasn't playing. He was betting on hockey games. They said it was like his friends on his account, right? So it's like, how could you prove that? Maybe it was him. They fined him. They suspended him 41 games. But this was like, to nip it in the bud, but to not make the league look bad that they have somebody betting on hockey.
Yeah, not to get too much into it, but this goes to another issue of the fact that the NHL was really light on the details here. And we don't know the full extent of what Pinto did or didn't do. And the fact that he got 41 games. Like, what happens the next time this happens and a player gets suspended like 21 games and the NHL doesn't give the details? Like, we need to know what they're doing here. We need to know like, to what degree they're violating these rules because like we have no idea like, oh, what's a 10-game gambling suspension look like? What's a full season gambling suspension look like?
Yeah.
Like, we have no details. We have no clue.
Yeah, or like they were saying, like, oh, if he did actually bet on hockey games, he would have been done forever or whatever. It's like, well, did he just say, it was my friend? Like, I don't know. It doesn't matter. But it's over now, and he wasn't playing anyways. So if anything, it bought them a little more time to like kind of figure out his situation.
Yeah. And on the positive side, Brett, none of this has been distracting for the players. Everything has been going great in the last couple of weeks. But yeah, the Sens are, I don't want to say in free fall. Like, look, I'll say this out of the gate. I'm not waving a red flag here. Like, it's not the end of days. It's not the end of the world. Like, there's so much negativity right now for the team. This is, in my mind, like, this is a window of sadness. This is a series of really unfortunate events. The Sens are losing now. The players are under a tremendous amount of pressure because of the off-ice stuff, because of the on-ice stuff. And it sucks. It sucks right now. I don't think it's the end of their season. I think there's plenty of time left to figure things out. But yeah, the last few games have not been going well.
No, and it's not really fun to watch either. It's been kind of boring games. It's kind of like classic Sens collapsing the D zone. Yeah, trotting out crappy D pairings and not really playing defensive style games. Like, I don't know. They started off pretty good with like shots against for the first week or so were pretty good. They had a good, strong, like low shots against, and then
what are your thoughts on the fan booing? Do you have an opinion on fans booing the team?
I think it's fine. I think it's good. I think if the fans booing at the game, I think like Brady kind of, defended the team and said he doesn't like hearing the boos, but like, I think the fans are just booing about the team. They're not like, hey, you guys aren't playing well. You guys suck. They're just booing the firing of Dorian drama, the Pinto stuff, all the drama. Like we just want a team. They're not like, we don't want them to win every game like 82-0. Like, we just want like an exciting team that is above 500, fighting for a playoff spot. That's all we want. We're not like, if you lose a game, we're like, oh, we're not fans anymore. It's just like,
I mean,
it's been a rough patch of years that we just want some excitement, and it just gets drained out of you because of this negative stuff that's on top of a boring team.
That's the thing. Look, I'll say it. I'm pretty anti-boo. I think like booing is not helping anyone here. Like, the team knows they're playing like shit. Yeah. It's not motivating to get booed. And like you nailed it. the fans are booing for the on ice stuff, but also the off ice stuff, and a lot of this is out of the players' control. Like the Sens fan are frustrated because of the Dadanov situation, the Pinto situation, whatever, and that makes them boo the on ice performance as well. I think it's just added negativity that doesn't need to be there. Like I get it, whatever, you paid money to see a game and they laid an egg, but like it happens. Like no one's going to your job and booing you, like, and as if you go in every single day and have your peak performance. Like I think it's just too much negativity. It doesn't need to happen. Like I sort of frame it like this. Like if it's like what if you're the only person sitting there watching Brady on the ice? Are you booing him to his face? No, of course you're not booing a human to their face. Like you're never gonna do that. Like if I'm at a game, the only time I'll ever boo is like a ref missed call. But like I would tell a ref straight to their face if they missed a call. Like I would say like I think you missed that, and I'm gonna boo you for that. But
if you walk by Brady in the grocery store, you would be like, you fucking suck.
Exactly. To boo a player and have that day, like of course they're trying. Like they're gripping the stick too tight. Things are not going their way. They're feeling the pressure. There's so many different reasons for them losing right now, and call them excuses or whatever. But look, the team's it's not like, oh yeah, I just want to lose. Like I don't want to win. Fuck winning. That's not what's happening right now. Clearly they want to win, but it's just not working out for them. And I don't think booing's gonna help them.
And I'll say that, like, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but there's a player on the Philadelphia Phillies, Trey Turner. So the Phillies like went to the World Series last year and lost, and then this year they signed Trey Turner, which was like one of the best free agents they got. So they're like, they didn't make the World Series, and then they signed this star shortstop who's a great hitter, and it was like, oh yeah, this will like put us over the hump. And then he started really poorly, and Phillies fans are like known as like relentless fans, like so ruthless and like booing and stuff. But they did something different where he came up one at bat and they gave him a standing ovation. And then like it turned around his season. Like you could see the stats from that game change. So like look at it that way. Like booing, obviously you're like getting your emotions out, but imagine you're just cheering the team to like motivate them instead. Like that's
what the team needs. 100%. Like booing just creates more negativity, and it just makes me think of organizations like the Leafs, who are just like in perpetual sadness
like
because of the pressure
on the ice and stuff.
Because of the pressure that team feels. A bit embarrassing. And the booing that those players get. Like I don't want to be a part of that. Like you said, I'd rather be positive, try to get some positive energy here, be the sixth man on the ice, or seventh man, and get some wins going. Like I don't know, I'm a little bit frustrated with, if you criticize the booing, all of a sudden you're part of the problem. Like no, I'm allowed to criticize the booing. Like I just don't think it's doing much to help. And I think
what do you think about Brady coming out?
I love it. I think
like it.
Great. He's a beauty. He's speaking his mind. He's basically saying, look, we're trying here. We're trying to best. He mentioned straight out, there's a quote from him saying there's a lot of negativity and distractions off the ice that out of our hands, and it sucks. It sucks to be a part of all this stuff that's happening to the Sens right now, and they're feeling it. They're getting frustrated.
Yeah, and then booing from the fans on top of it, just
totally. Like it's not helping anyone. It's not going to get you out of the situation. Oh, your team didn't play well. Like, okay, get over it. It's just a game. Why do you have to be mad?
That's a hockey, it's only game. Why you have to be mad?
I don't know.
Why you have to be mad?
I know. I think about that
game.
I think about that a lot when I'm watching. It's like the majority of Sens fans are like probably depressed, like sad government workers who like probably put in like a good 60% effort at their jobs, and then they do at home GMing and at home coaching, thinking that they're like better than anything else that the Sens could produce. Like, no, you're not. Get over yourself. Like let's send some positive vibes. Let's try to get the team going here. They're a young team. There's a lot of adversity and a lot of negativity, but it's just a window of sadness, and we'll get past it. So
I 100% agree with cheer to motivate, to not add to the negativity, but I think the booing is warranted for years and years of a window of sadness. And that's the only thing I'll say. It's like it is a window of sadness, but this like it's like been like a sliding patio door that's kind of just been sliding open and closed every like week, and then is like flapping in the wind. The window is just like, yeah, it's been a big window of sadness. So I think there's reason to boo. I personally wouldn't boo, but it's the negativity does add up over the years, you know?
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Well, you know what makes me feel better? If I'm not going to boo the players and I want to feel better at myself, I look at other teams who are suffering. So with that, let's take a look at how the Edmonton Oilers are doing. Since we last chatted, they were headed into the Heritage Classic, the outdoor game, which they won. Good for them. But then posting another 2 more losses. They had a loss before as well. The Edmonton Oilers are in free fall, and they're as much as the Sens are not looking good. The Oilers are doing way worse, and they might miss the playoffs. What are your thoughts?
Yeah,
here?
it's really sad. This is not like, for me, it's bigger picture. I look at bigger picture in terms of like just a generational talent. If you look at the league, it's been like Crosby, then McDavid. There's been nobody really on their level in like the decades that since Crosby started. But like, just that he's playing on such a pathetic team. And he looks so depressed. Like,
yeah,
he doesn't even have like he can't go sadder. Like, because there was like some times where it would be like, you would just see some funny pictures like, wow, this is as sad as we've seen him or whatever. But like, he can't get sadder. He's like getting into it with reporters. He's like, I guess he's injured too. So he's not even really helping. So it's not even like he's playing, like, he's obviously amazing, but he's not like playing lights out, like taking the team on his back. That's just how.
So he's 8 games played. He has 10 points, which obviously is very respectable. But not playing his best. The whole team is playing poorly. I think I had it up here right before. The Oilers are at a minus 14 goal differential. And they only have 27 goals for, which, you know, compare them to the Golden Knights who have 52.
Shit.
Oilers are not scoring. They are playing very poorly. And like you said, it's a shame. It's a generational talent being wasted on a team right now. What do you think needs to happen? Do you think Oilers need to trade McDavid and lie about his no trade list? Trade him to the Sharks?
I don't know. I wonder if like that would be like, he's like, well, you know, at least I'm losing in like a sunny, beautiful place, you know? Seems like losing in Edmonton would be so depressing.
So we have to get back to it. The McDavid demand a trade-o-meter. We've been consistently in the red. I mean, like, this is like, it doesn't get more red than this.
I didn't even think it would be this bad. I thought it was going to be bad, or I wanted it to be bad just for like the drama, but I did not think they'd be this pathetic.
Yeah, they play Vancouver tonight. You're living in Vancouver, so I'm sure you'll have a keen eye on that game. I'm gonna watch the game tonight. Maybe for the first 5 minutes before I pass out. But I'm curious to see, can they get a win here? Like, Vancouver's a tough team.
Of weird. It's kind of weird that that's been the opposite, where like everyone thought Oilers would be the contender and Vancouver would be the bottom feeder, and like it's the opposite this year. It's like. And then why is that? I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
I guess goaltending.
If you want to talk about bad teams, though, we have to talk about the San Jose Sharks, who are historically awful. I have to share this picture because it's like one of the saddest pictures I've ever seen. I hope they've tracked this kid down, and I hope they've given him like season tickets
for life,
or like some sort of gift or something. Like,
you're the goalie now, buddy. You're playing nets.
So I'm gonna head to. I have a couple questions for you. I want to share some numbers here, and then maybe you can answer my questions here. minus 14 is the second worst goal differential in the league right now. Minus 14.
Yeah.
So second worst. The Sharks have the worst. What do you think the Sharks are at?
Minus 28.
The Sharks are minus 43.
Oh my god.
So minus 14 being second worst, down to minus 43 for goal differential. They had
2 10 goal games, like back to back.
Yeah. 52 is the highest goals for right now in the league. Your Golden Knights, the Trade Kings, the Vegas Golden Knights, with 52 goals for. How many goals do the San Jose Sharks have this year?
12.
You nailed it. The San Jose
Whoa.
Sharks 12 goals on the season
Holy
so far. This is they're gonna set some records this year. Like, this is the worst hockey team ever.
Will they hit 100 goals
No,
on the year?
I mean, no, I don't think so.
I don't know if they're at the rate.
Yeah,
No.
they are. So
They'd be at like 83 or 84.
0-10-1. They have, like I mentioned, 12 goals for, 55 goals against, with a goal differential of minus 43. Yeah, this is
happy Erik Karlsson got out of there.
Yeah, it's crazy because when they acquired Karlsson, it was like, okay, they're really making a push for it, and
Yeah.
they've just been downhill ever since, and this is like their complete rock bottom.
I don't even know who's on the team.
San Jose Sharks. So they got Philip Zadina, who is the player who decided to void his contract with Detroit. So he gave up millions of dollars to say, I'm better than what they're playing me. I'm going to play for another team to prove myself. Currently proving himself on a dumpster fire team. I think he has like 2 points. I don't know. He's not doing great.
He just wanted to be on the beach. He just wanted to be in the sunny weather. Is it even nice there? I don't even know.
I traveled to San Jose a lot for work. It's fine, I guess. I don't mean, I'm coming from Ottawa. It's hard to criticize anyone else's weather. But gotta say, if I travel there for work this year, I don't know. Maybe I do want to go to a game just to say that I witnessed the
probably
worst,
cheap as it's gonna get.
The worst team of all time. Like, maybe it would be a bit of a thing to say, like, oh yeah, I saw like a 12-0 game and it was so much fun. So yeah, maybe I'll check them out next time I'm in town. I'll check out the
plan
San Jose Sharks.
for the Sens playing there.
Yeah, exactly. I think I checked this because, like I said, I travel there a lot for work. So I think they play them like in March. So quite some time from now, maybe that'll be like a clutch game that the Sens need to win to make the playoffs.
Yeah,
and it'll be against a dumpster.
No. They'll be at the end of their 15-game winning streak. At that time, they'll be first in the division. Don't worry about it.
Speaking about dog shit teams, the Toronto Maple Leafs. So Toronto Maple Leafs, like we had mentioned, the fan base loves to put pressure on their team there. Looking pretty ugly right now. So the Leafs fan base, and it looks like the coach as well, are upset with the physical response of the team. This was a recent incident where Brad Marchand basically slew-footed Liljegren, injured him, a high ankle sprain. He's out for a while now.
Really bad.
The team did absolutely nothing. They did not respond at all. I think the worst quote that I saw was Ryan Reeves, who was like the big offseason acquisition to toughen up the Leafs. He basically said, Boston had last change, so I never got on the ice at the same time as Marchand. I mean, that's for your coach to figure out. Like, fucking, You see Marchand on the ice, you throw Reeves over the bench, and there, go fight him. Like, they have last change, so I never got to play with him. That's the worst excuse.
And then just
heard.
Seeing Marchand like just standing on the ice talking to the bench.
Taunting them. Just taunting them.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I almost I thought the play was super dirty. I was kind of like coming around on Marchand because he hadn't done anything really, really dirty in a while, and he was kind of like towing the line well, and like obviously he's skilled. So I was kind of like, you know what, he's not so bad. Maybe he's like. So this was awful and horrible play, but then to go and taunt the bench, and it's the Leafs, it's just like, damn, this guy's good. This guy's good at his job.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not happy in Leafland. I mean, that's the only solace I can have as a Sens fan right now is that they're not happy either, which, sets up the Wednesday clash between the Sens and the Leafs as like a ultimate who could feel worse about themselves game. But just want to point out the off-season acquisitions from the Leafs. Like mentioned, Ryan Reeves supposed to add that toughness, doesn't seem to be working out. You got Max Domi, who's completely invisible. Tyler Bertuzzi, who was laughing at the situation with Marchand. He looks like garbage. And
I picked him up on fantasy. It was like kind of a late round, and all my fantasy was like, oh crap! Like in the group chat, we're like, oh man, I forgot about Bertuzzi. Like I can't believe he went in the last round. And I was like, I was feeling so good. I think he has like 3 points.
Yeah, he's not playing well at all. The fan base is really turning on him.
Yeah, because he's kind of a jackass too. Nobody really liked him.
No,
but if he's playing well, you can kind of forget about it. Like if he's like Marchand kind of person, and same with Domi. Like nobody likes him either. But like, oh, whatever. If he could like be a pest out there.
Yeah, he's
not doing that.
Not effective at essentially anything at all right now. And yeah, the team's a bit in shambles.
Can't wait to just go south quick. I love it.
John Klingberg too, which is the player that like is so clear that he's a terrible defenseman and he's proving to be terrible at defense. I'm looking forward to Wednesday. Like, look, if the Sens beat the Leafs on Wednesday, like, is the fan base insecure? Like, you just cured the fan base of all like their anger, basically.
And like, we're like chanting DJ.
Exactly. So
I wonder though, what if we lose though? What's gonna happen? I would be really upset.
Yeah, Wednesday.
There's nothing like I remember in the past years too, in like the bad years. Like I remember the COVID year, we were like pretty god awful, and we'd had like a comeback win against the Leafs. It's like sometimes that's all that you need is a nice win against the Leafs, and that's
exactly.
We're not making the playoffs, but we're beating the Leafs. That's all that matters to me.
Yeah. Oh God, here's hoping. Wednesday's going to be a tough one. Let's hope it pans out. Last story I wanted to chat about. You had brought this up. Vancouver Canucks are playing really well.
Yeah, I live here in Vancouver, so kind of never really was a big fan of them, but like, when they went to the Cup, I was cheering for them. And like in the 90s, I loved Pavel Bure, McGillney, and like always liked Luongo. Sedins are awesome. So it's never a team that I've hated in terms of like other Canadian teams. It's not really a big rivalry against the Sens. And they did pretty bad last year, and I work with a lot of Vancouver fans, and they were pretty depressed, just like us. They kind of like don't really like the owner. He's kind of a jackass, kind of like Melnick was. So similar kind of vibes. I thought I thought maybe they were going to be going down a path of like last year was like the first year of like a good 5 years of depression, kind of like Sens fans. But I don't know, this year got a new coach, turned it around. And I got to say, I work at a library, so I'm working at a desk, and there's a guy that comes in, and he pisses me off, man. He's a huge Canucks fan. He knows I'm a huge Sens fan.
Is he a fan of the pod? Is he watching right now?
I don't want him to watch this. He thinks I'm just gonna be a jerk right now, but like he knows nothing about the Sens, but then he tries to tell me about the Sens, and he knows about the Canucks, but sometimes he just has some takes that are like, so he asked me, he's like, how many stars do the Sens have? And I was like, I thought about it, like trying to be like realistic, not be like a homer fan. I was like, I said 2. I thought like Stützle and Sanderson. You could argue Brady.
I would have said 3, and I would have said Giroux, Stützle, Tkachuk would be like. I know Sanderson's gonna be a star, but like if he has the league,
well, I was trying to just be like, whatever. Then he said about Vancouver. He's like, well, Vancouver has 5, and I was like, I couldn't even count. I was like, okay, Pedersen, Hughes, and I was like, I don't know, but the worst part is he accuses me of being a delusional Sen fan,
Right.
and then he goes and, anyways, just wanted to bring that up. If you're watching,
Great. Fan of the pod. Thanks for watching.
Daniel, I'll say his name.
I'll bleep that out in post.
Nah, yeah, I'm happy for them though. They actually are a fun, exciting team.
Yeah, I mean, if you
I
were to
like
ask
Besser.
me, if you were to ask me to rank the Canadian teams heading into this season, I would have put Vancouver as second worst.
Yeah.
And they're playing exceptional right now. So,
But it makes sense. The young guys that they have, because Kuzmenko and some other like young guys that are like
NHL
just,
star, bona fide.
yeah. But Besser had a bounce back year. I always liked Besser. I love guys with like wrist shots, like
Yeah.
just like not even that good of a wrist shot, but somehow scores a lot. Hughes is awesome. Pedersen's amazing, super skilled. I love Demko, great goalie, especially like they had Markstrom and they traded him and kind of bet on Demko. That was cool. So yeah, good for them. I'm happy.
Yeah, they
for
got
them.
a fun team. Like I said, I will watch the first 5 to 10 minutes of the Edmonton Vancouver game tonight before I pass out.
It starts in 12 minutes. Let's
wrap
get
it
out
up.
of here. Let's get out of here.
All right. Well, with that, we only have one thing left to do. Brett, we got to do some pumps and dumps. So for this week,
I'm
are you pumping
this week?
Who are you pumping this week?
You know what? Maybe I'll do my pump and dump at the same time.
Go for it.
I'm pumping and dumping the same guy.
Ooh, interesting.
I'm pumping DJ Smith and I'm dumping DJ Smith.
Okay, I like it.
Because I think he's going to get dumped, but I'm still pumping him. I think it's hard to say because you can't see what's going to happen after, like let's say a new coach comes in and they get hot and they have unparalleled success that, we've all been expecting. That would look bad on DJ. But all things considered, everyone around the league apparently loves him. The players love him. No one's ever said a bad thing about him as a person. I remember like Dorian when they signed him to an extension. He's like, I consider him a friend, like outside of hockey. And he said they were saying things like the things he's done things behind the scenes that nobody knows about that are just like he's just a great person and everyone loves him.
Yeah.
And before all this kind of drama happened, there was a few years where drama stuff was happening and he like kept the dressing room happy and like the vibes last year, even though it was a bad season, were great. This year it's kind of getting there to where the point where I don't think the team is quitting on him, but
yeah,
the vibes are going down a little bit in terms of like the dressing room. They don't seem as happy with the extra pressure or whatever. But anyways, that all being said, I think the Sens need to dump him, but I'm still pumping him as a person and for what he's done for the young guys. And
yeah. I mean, I go back and forth on it. Like, part of me thinks he's done his time here, but the other part of me thinks like the fan base is convinced that a new coach is going to come here and be a cure-all for everything. Like, we don't know that. We don't know if that's going to cure.
Well, let's get the lunatic Patrick Waugh behind the bench.
Yeah, exactly. We don't know if any other coach is going to have more success than DJ right now. From what you hear about, in the locker room, the players are still motivated to play for the guy. Like, look, I trust. I have enough trust now in Andlauer and Staios that they're going to make the right decision. They're going to be patient about it, and they're going to. They have the insight that we don't as fans. Like, if they're in the room, if they're around the players, they know what it's like. I'm not convinced that a new coach would come here and all of a sudden the Sens are going to be like 10-0 or anything like that, right? So they can take their time here. Like, if he got fired tomorrow, I don't think I'd be upset either. I think it's sort of like, it's maybe he's run his course, but I don't think a new coach would solve everything either.
Maybe the team already looks at like the stuff happening with Pinto, the first round pick, the injuries, like the new ownership, I'm not saying they're giving up on the year right away, but they're like the core is signed for a few years. So it's like, you know what, maybe keep the coach that everyone loves in there for the year while we figure out other stuff, like filling out the front office, finding a GM of the future, maybe tweak the assistants, maybe have a talk with DJ to be like, try this and that, make a trade, whatever, it's like there's stuff that you could do before, because that's the difference between years past is like the team quit on the coach, and you could just tell that hasn't happened with the Sens. Like they love DJ, so it's like that counts for something.
If you fire DJ, you have to have a slam dunk coach to replace him. You have to know who you're putting in there, right? And the owner right now and Staios right now, they're getting to know the players. They're getting to know how the team operates. They need to know if we're going to fire this guy, we need to know who's going to replace him. And that can't just be like an interim choice, right? It's a long-term choice that you need to make for the health of the team. So they need to take their time with that. So whatever. I'd pump and I'd dump DJ. I agree. These are good picks.
I will say last thing, if I'm going to be consistent in how I feel, I do kind of feel like Staios and Andlauer and whoever the new GM is does have to have that cutthroat attitude. So if that cutthroat attitude is bring in a bona fide winner, see you later, DJ.
Yeah, for sure. All right, this week I'm gonna pump my boy Brady Tkachuk. He's a beauty. Look, he's the captain right now, and I think he's showing it again. So much negativity going on, and some people didn't like him calling out the fans or whatever. Look, he is wearing his heart on his sleeve right now, and he's going to bat for the team. He's saying the guys are putting their heart into things. The booing's not helping. Like, we get it. You're frustrated. You don't have to tell us through your boos. We understand that you're frustrated. We want to be winning too. He's saying all the right things, and he's a 24-year-old. If I could say be this stoic at 24, I'd be happy. But I was way more of an idiot at 24, probably. I'm really impressed with how he's carrying himself, and it just goes to show that the future is bright, and hopefully he continues to lead. They can have a real great Sweden trip coming up in a couple weeks, and he can carry the team there, have a good bonding experience. So Brady, got to pump him for having.
I think the best thing that he'll do is say this stuff about the negativity of the fans, stand up for the team, don't apologize for it, just come out next game against the Toronto Maple Leafs, just have an amazing game, shut the fans up, come back to they play at home the next day against the Canucks, make the fans cheer for you, and he'll do that.
We just talked about how Toronto is suffering right now with how soft they are. Brady knows how to exploit that because he's not soft at all, right? So let's push their buttons. Let's toss around their stars, and like do what you can, right? So looking forward
he's
to
that type of player. He'll say something. He's not going to get on the bad side of the fans. Like, know that. He'll say it. He means what he says. He's not, like you said, he has his heart in his sleeve. He means what he says. He's standing up for the team. He's telling the fans, look, I know you're feeling like this, but just have patience. Don't boo us. And then he's going to come out next game and have an amazing game. He's going to do that.
Yeah. And it pains me to dump on a veteran. But this week I got to dump on Travis Hamonic. We had mentioned it, Dorian making some signings that, he's signing with his heart instead of signing with his brain. He signed Travis Hamonic in the offseason to a 1-year deal. Kind of like a thank you deal. Thank you for being part of our organization. Here's 1 more year. I don't hate Hamonic.
Some shots.
I don't hate Hamonic as like a 6th or 7th D. He should probably be sitting out every other game, resting or whatever. He's, getting up there in age. Right now he's like top right pairing defenseman because of the injuries that the Sens have been facing. Yeah. And like, man, it's showing how bad he is. He does not look good out there playing the minutes that he's playing. Had a real rough showing the other night. So Sorry, Travis. I mean, again, I think it's good to have veterans on the team. We need to have those people part of the organization, but I don't know. Let's put a rookie up there and play those numbers instead of Hamonic, because Hamonic is he's not looking good.
Yeah, especially the way he plays, blocking shots and like, pretty tough minutes. So
Yeah,
he shouldn't be blocking shots if he's going to be playing more minutes. And just lots of giveaways, kind of out of position, just not really adding, like bad penalties, not really adding to like the physicality that you think he should or whatever. Like, yeah, he's not like clearing out the D zone and whatever, like, it's pretty sad back there.
Sorry, Hammer, you got my dump.
Sucks about the injuries though. Yeah,
It
you're
does.
right. He shouldn't be playing those minutes. So it's
No.
maybe not faulted in him, but yeah.
All right. Well, there's another week. I'm sure we'll have some opinions after the Leafs game. So I look forward to talking to you after that
And then
happens.
play the Canucks on Thursday at home. That'd be fun.
Oh, that'll be fun. It'll be a tough one. Tough schedule ahead. We'll see how it goes. With that, I'm ready to sign off. Thanks for watching, everyone. Well, hopefully better vibes next time. We'll see you later.
See ya. It's only up from here.